Joining me now is Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, former Chief of Staff to then Secretary of State Colin Powell. And of course, when you served in that capacity, North Korea was an issue then. It was labeled as part of the axis of evil, quite famously, by George W. Bush. Do you agree with the senator in how he compared this to a modern Cuban Missile Crisis?
I think we need to calm this down a little bit, Chris. This is not an existential crisis. It's not something that we can't handle, that the North Koreans, in fact, and the South Koreans, our allies on the peninsula, can't handle. But we do need to get away from this kind of grandiose rhetoric that Donald Trump used today. This is like Donald Trump looking in a mirror in the morning and seeing Kim Jong-un, and Kim Jong-un looking in a mirror and seeing Donald Trump. And the problem there is one of them is the dictator of a basket case country in Northeast Asia, and the other is the president of the most powerful country in the world. In other words, this is not the way to conduct U.S. foreign and security policy. You
know, you said that Noah Rothman, who's an editor at the Conservative Commentary magazine, said, no joke, I read Trump's statement on North Korea and thought it was a North Korean statement on Trump. The rhetoric does seem to be parroted back. Let's talk about the North Korean regime. You mentioned something interesting there, that sort of putting some onus on them, or at least projecting their actions. There is a caricature of the regime as essentially run by a madman and fundamentally irrational. Do you think that's an accurate characterization?
Absolutely not. It hasn't been true for any of the Kim dynasty, Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, or Kim Jong-un. They're very rational people. Their singular objective in this world is to maintain themselves in power, to keep drinking their Hennessy's, their Courvoisier, and continue to be the only power that matters in North Korea. That is the reality, and that's why it's not existential, because they know if they were to attack the South in any blatant way, or anyone else of our allies in the region, they would disappear from the earth. There would be fire and fury indeed. No American president could escape that. We had this same crisis in 1994. I was on the peninsula in 94. I was there with the commander in Korea. I was there with Bill Perry when he was over there, Clinton's middle Secretary of Defense. We negotiated, and it led to the agreed framework, and we froze their most dangerous nuclear program at the time, the reprocessing plant at Yongbyon. That's what we need to do again. We need to talk, and we need to be able, as Bill Perry has pointed out, and willing to offer something. Like the exercises in August, we could offer that we would cancel those exercises or postpone them in exchange for a cancellation of ballistic missile testing or nuclear testing or both. This is the way we need to deal with this. Both sides need to calm down, and we need to talk.
You know, it's interesting you say that about negotiation, the success of negotiation, because I feel the image that's projected often is that everything has failed, every approach, that you can't get anywhere negotiating with North Korea. It sounds like you're saying you don't believe that's true.
Don't believe it at all, and my whole life has been since 1953, when I was about 9 years old, has been proof of that, because we haven't had a war on the peninsula. We had a peace treaty in '53, and not a peace treaty, but we had a ceasefire in '53 and an armistice, and we've had the DMZ ever since, and now we have a situation once again that looks like it might could bring war back. The way we've solved that in the past is by talking. People say we can't talk with a criminal regime. Those are the regimes you need to talk to. John Kennedy said it best: you should never negotiate out of fear, but you never should fear to negotiate. Tillerson has said that more or less, as has Mattis. We need to get to it, and we need to curb this president who seems to think that he's negotiating the Taj Mahal or some other casino with Steve Wynn.
There's infrastructure around the President of the United States, a chain of command, a massive national security apparatus that we think of as kind of constraining or binding the power of the President of the United States, and yet at the same time he does have the unilateral power to fire nuclear weapons, to initiate a strike. How confident are you in the basic supporting structure around the President to navigate this crisis?
Up until about the last 3 weeks, I was fairly confident. I was confident that the institutional fabric we developed since 1947 would in fact encumber this president to the point where he couldn't do anything insane. I'm no longer that comfortable. I think we're in trouble. I think we're in big trouble. And I think the kind of rhetoric we've seen out of Donald Trump in the last few weeks indicates that trouble. I'm really worried.
You've witnessed, worked for different administrations, watched different presidents and diplomats operate. How anomalous was the tenor of the president's comments today?
incredibly out of character for the greatest power in the world. And let's look at something else, Chris. Right now, our tacit ally, India, and China, the second greatest power in the world right now, are on the border ready to go to war, 100 meters apart. Not only that, China's built a corridor through Kashmir, making Kashmir look as if it's more amenable to Pakistan's sovereignty, if you will, than India's. We've got a real problem there. In 2002, Colin Powell had to go and deal with Musharraf in Islamabad and the Indian president in Delhi, and they had to talk to in order to avert a nuclear exchange between those two powers. We're not even looking at that right now. We're letting so much go by the way because we're concentrating on Trump's rhetoric.
All right, Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, it's a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.